So somebody once said that the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. Contrary to popular belief, this was not a quote by Albert Einstein. It's actually a quote by a novelist named Rita Mae Brown in one of her books. But I digress. The point is that I've been doing Humans of Magic over and over and over again for a very long time. This year is going to be, if you can believe it, the 8th year of working on Humans of Magic. It started in 2016, and the very first episode was created on a whim. I just decided to interview friends of mine, and that's how the project kicked off. It was an audio-only podcast for a very long time. I did the same thing over and over until recently, maybe less than 2 years ago, it became a YouTube channel. I did the same thing over and over, and all I did was add video. I've decided this year that I'm going to make some changes to the channel. I'm going to make some changes to my approach. I've been repeating the same thing for a while, which is these in-depth interviews with people to explore mindset. And it's had its ups and downs. There's things that I've liked about the project, the ability to go long, and some of the intrinsic rewards for me, just being able to have long-form conversations, be able to hold attention, hold my guests' attention. All of that is really good. But it's time to think about the next phase of what Humans of Magic is going to be about. There's going to be 2 main changes to the channel. The second one is probably more important, but let me start with the first. First of all, I'm going to still continue having these rich, in-depth, full interviews with folks in the magic community, but it's going to be restricted to audio only. I'm going to have the full conversations for Humans of Magic in audio. So that means Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to Humans of Magic as a podcast. And I know that for the majority of you, that's how you continue to enjoy Humans of Magic. And that's not going to change at all. What's going to change is that I'm going to stop hosting the full episodes, conversations, uncut basically, on YouTube. There's a couple of reasons for this. I think one of the reasons is, for better or worse, it's the algorithm. YouTube is its own special thing. And long-form conversations like mine just don't do very well on it. So case in point, if you have been following my YouTube stuff, and I assume you have been because you're watching this right now, I have been trying to clip the interesting parts of the conversation and putting them on the channel. And they have performed way better in terms of total views and engagement and all the algorithmic stuff than the full conversation. So case in point, I just had a clip from my 1.5 hour interview with Sea. And the clip, by my channel standards, did fairly well. As of this recording, it's got about 2,000 views, and it's got a number of comments, and people are interested in the topic because it's really focused in on a part of the conversation, which is how does magic treat a magic streamer like Sea? So it's got about 2,000 views. Whereas when you look at the full episode with Sea that I posted, it's got less than a tenth of that sort of engagement, that sort of traffic. And quite honestly, there's a game here. And YouTube just has not been able to figure out what my channel is about, because I'm posting a 10-minute clip, a 15-minute clip here and there. Then I'm posting a 2-hour thing, a 3-hour thing, like the interview with Marshall Sutcliffe. And I think when we talk about the algorithm, it's not just machines, it's also shorthand for people watching my channel just don't really know what they're here for. And so that's something I've decided to do. It's not an easy decision. I've thought about it for honestly several weeks before telling you about it here. But I'm going to keep the original episodes, the full episodes, in podcast only. And on YouTube, I'm going to be playing with more clips, more experimental stuff, and just more themes and topics so that the two things are very different, audio versus video. And honestly, I think that's also kind of a net positive because I'm hoping that people who are podcast listeners, they may want to come to the channel for something different. And people that are watching videos on the channel, they may want to tune into the audio podcast for something different. I'm also going to offer an option here, which is if you like the video content, the full episodes with video will still be available, but not publicly. They're going to be unlisted videos that you can access if you become a patron. And I'm not paywalling this just because I want to make an extra buck. It's also because there are some people out there that I think commenting on the videos that watch the whole thing on YouTube. But you guys I love you guys, but you guys are few and far between. And so if you want to do that, you can still do that if you support the show. And that way, I'm not going to be confusing the YouTube algorithm by having these long episodes on the channel. They're going to be unlisted. So they're not going to go into their grinder, their machine, their algorithm. Instead, the clips are going to be public. And if you become a member on YouTube or you become a patron through Patreon, you can still access them. You can still enjoy them, or you can go listen to the audio only podcast. And it's also, I think, better for me because I won't be spending a lot of energy trying to create these hooks to the beginning of the full episodes. I'll be spending my effort on the second major change, which I'm going to tell you about in just a second. So that's the first thing that's going to be changing about this channel. And I hope you can understand where I'm coming from based on how I've explained it. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. I'm pretty clear now that in year 8 of Humans of Magic and year 2 of the YouTube channel, I want to grow this thing. I want to continue doing the things that I love, which is long-form interviewing and using these skills and highlighting people in the community, doing non-magic gameplay content. But I need a way to grow. I need a way to make this more sustainable, more rewarding, more validating for myself, if we're being honest. So the second major thing is that I've thought a lot about how Humans of Magic is going to evolve in terms of content. I just said, I'm passionate about highlighting people in the community, folks in the community. I'm passionate about continuing to explore my craft of an interviewer. Well, when I think about the times in the past that I've enjoyed working on Humans of Magic the most, it's when I'm telling stories. I keep going back to the special episode I created called This Ukrainian Life, in which I interviewed a dozen Ukrainian Magic players. I had this narrative of what was going on in their country with the war, with Russia invading the country, their lives hanging in the balance, and weighing that with their love of magic. That was something that I did. It's been almost 2 years, and it still has a lot of meaning to it. I still have people come up to me and say that that was the episode that they still remember almost 2 years later. I want to continue telling stories like that. I don't want to feel like I'm in this grind, in this wheel of just creating an interview every week on clockwork. I've demonstrated to myself and hopefully to you, the fans, that I'm capable of doing that. I'm capable of being consistent. I have released an episode every week over and over for a year and a half, almost 2 years now. But like I said, It's not about just being consistent anymore. It's not just about doing the same thing over and over. I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but you get the picture. I want to really take some time with the storytelling, with the Humans of Magic YouTube channel. Every now and then, if there's somebody that I feel really strongly I want to have a conversation with them at length, then yeah, we're going to do it. I'm going to take the best parts of it and make them into videos that are hopefully interesting to watch with a little bit of narrative. And you can still get the full episodes unedited if you are a member of the Patreon for YouTube, or if you listen to the audio podcast. But I want to start working more diligently, more intentionally, in a more dedicated fashion on stories, features, things that take more than a week, things that require research, reaching out to people here and there, working on the narration, trying to tell something in 30 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. There's no set time, but something that is still very much thematically tied to people in the magic community. Stories. That's what I want to do. I have to say that a big part of this inspiration has been through talking to other magic creators. And there's one person, you can probably guess who it is. So I'm just going to say his name. One of the masters of storytelling, Sam, aka Ristic Studies. The reason why his work has been so profoundly impactful for so many people around the world for the last 10 years that he's been working in this sort of video essay medium is because he's able to thread this humanity and different concepts in art and media. He's able to weave all these things together in a story. So you're clicking on Sam's video because he has something interesting to say, and it's incredibly well researched. He never is pressed for time to release something. It's ready when it's ready. There's a real craft to it. And if you're a patron of Sam's, you know that he's been releasing these kind of monologue podcasts where she kind of goes behind the scenes and talks about what it's like to be him, and also does mailbag Q&A, things like that. So it's really interesting because Sam found the perfect way to resonate with an audience. He's found the best way to do that matches his skills. And then now he's kind of branching off into different little things. For example, his Patreon podcasts. Whereas for me, I think the thing that I've been doing for a very long time is making something that I want to make. So I don't want to say that I haven't been doing that. I've tried to adhere to what I believe is the number one thing for a creator, which is, first off, make the thing that you want to make. And I've been doing that for close to 8 years. I've enjoyed every single one of the interviews. There was nothing that I did because I felt obligated to do. But it's just a matter of thinking about Sam's trajectory and my trajectory. I would like to go more into a mass appeal storytelling direction. It's almost like I started off very niche. I've been very niche for 8 years, and I want to just take the things that I've absorbed, I've learned, and I've developed as a person, a human being. And I want to go bigger. I want to do something this year that really challenges myself and who I am. And I can see that I'm not trying to be Ristic Studies. I'm not trying to be somebody else, but I'm very much influenced by that. And fundamentally, I think there's something incredible about storytelling. And that's something that I tapped into at different times with the Ukraine Magic story, with the TCG Player story, which required interviewing a whole bunch of people. And there were other things along the way that I didn't quite release, but I was working on them. So I feel like I have the potential to do that and still stay true to the thematic concept of highlighting the Magic community in a non-gameplay way. So I always find it almost embarrassing to just talk like this, but this is something that's been on my mind for a very long time now. And it's not just a few weeks, it's been like a few months, maybe half a year. And I feel like I need to make this thing into a reality. And the only way that I know how to do it is to hold myself publicly accountable. So here it is. Here's the public accountability through inner reflection, talking to folks like Sam, being inspired by other people from all walks of life, not just Magic. And 2024, man, this is the year that Humans and Magic is going to have an evolution. And evolution is scary. For someone else, it's probably scary to do one-on-one interviews with someone for 2-3 hours. But it's not scary for me anymore. And I need ways to explore my creativity in different ways. So thank you for listening, and we'll continue to see you on the channel, and stay tuned for what's going to come next for Humans and Magic. Thank you.